So when I came to present the film, The Ballad of Oppenheimer Park, in Vancouver, I invited Harley, I invited him. And he told me I will love to go, but I just have 15 days of life because I was diagnosed with a terminal liver failure and I will not be able to attend. So starting from that point, we decided to do a filming during those days, a testimony of this profane refusal. That's why that's how the relationship started.
And you decided to be really in his room in a very close space.
Yeah, mostly because he was alone and he asked me if I wanted to be with him. Most of his family members died already, and the father, they don't talk to each other since like a long time ago. So I told him, like, yeah, I will join you, and if you want, we can also bring out the camera to leave a testimony. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Just to give you a context, the way the Canadian government deals with the native population, it's basically recognizing they are like guilty of all the mess they did when they colonized Canada. So they are providing free housing and welfare and a lot of other things to the native population. So according to your profile, you are entitled to a specific kind of house. If you're an alcoholic, you are allowed to live in certain kind of social housing where all the alcoholics live. If you're a prostitute, as well. If you are a crack addict, as well, because the government is controlling the crack that goes into that building, like pimping, say it literally, the prostitutes, and et cetera, et cetera. So Harley was sent to a shelter where most of the people who use hard drugs or like hardcore alcoholics who are like in a kind of like terminal stage of their lives, they are sent, the controllable ones. So this is kind of like a social housing shelter, hospice, where Harley lives. Basically, it's a room with a sink, a shared bathroom, paid by the state. And controlled by the state. You need a password to enter. They are monitored all day in terms of like what time you enter, what time you leave, if you take your meds. Everything is provided through the front desk.
Also alcohol and drugs?
Also alcohol as well. Because Harley used to drink Listerine. Yeah. The government said, okay, stop drinking Listerine, we'll provide you 3 liters of red wine.
Okay.
that means that when the third bottle ended, he goes to buy Listerine.
Okay. You know? Okay. Why I asked you about this place is because we are close with him in a very close space, but we feel like there's a whole world around him, mm-hmm. and we can hear them. And maybe you can tell us, I don't know, maybe did you think at one point to film other people in this place, or you just decide to let them outside of the frame?
Well, this hospice, or like Harley, is actually living in what is considered the poorest neighborhood in Canada. Mm-hmm. That it's called the downtown east side of Vancouver. This neighborhood was like very famous during the 80s and the 90s because like most of people who was trading drugs or using drugs used to live there. It still has like a lot of people dealing with the trading and dealing with the consumption of drugs. But nonetheless, the state is regulating more and more and more the trading, so they are the ones providing the weed, the ones providing the heroin. So it's
super well organized.
Super well organized killing machine. Just to give you a little context about like where Harley is living. So when I came to present the previous film, I was immediately banned, or like it was forbidden for me to keep visiting Harley, because the outreach workers that were working in the shelter where Harley used to live were very much concerned that I will keep portraying him as I was portraying. They believed that I was doing a very bad service to the indigenous community, all white guys. I was doing a very bad service to the indigenous community because I was creating some kind of an image that doesn't belong to reality. So when they knew that I was visiting Harley, they totally said, okay, you cannot enter because we are afraid that you will make another film. So, and they started bringing the awareness to the people who used to live there. Okay, this guy is a Mexican filmmaker. Be aware of him because he may have a camera hidden somewhere, and we don't want to make the film. But nonetheless, Harley pushed very hard to allow me to go in. but they say yes, but no cameras, no nothing. So they check my bag every time I go there. But nonetheless, I end up bringing a camera, part by part, until a camera was inside and a tripod was inside, and we start shooting.
Did you get a tripod really?
A little one.
Okay, and this is it's not a question or a comment, but I was really shocked when I first saw your movie, that at the very beginning you said like all the maybe more polemic or conflictual points of the film, like you textually said to him, some people may think that I'm taking advantage of you, and I was, it's not a question, it's more like I was really shocked about the honesty of your proposal, and I don't know if you
because I decided to introduce that in the film because that was one of the main concerns of the community while I was presenting the last film. So they were totally accusing me of taking advantage of this incapable people, you know? And because they are incapable, they need to be protected or cared by this outreach workers or like Christian churches that are like spending a lot of time, a lot of money on them because there's a huge business behind it. So I decided that in this one I was going to ask him directly the question to not let any kind of doubt about that. Harley was totally aware, conscious, and also willing to make this project with me. I mean, like I proposed him to shoot him on the last days, not because I want to see him how he died, how he actually having this moment where actually Harley passed away, but because also Harley pushed very hard in terms of like convincing me like we should do this. I want to leave a testimony because no one will know about me. I'm not saying that this film will glorify the memory or will become a monument of Harley, but nonetheless he was very much interested and very much pushing towards.
Yeah, maybe because he's conscient about the whole thing. Do you have any questions or comments? Feel free. Yeah.
I wonder about did you bring any props to the film, like the mask or the burning thing, like, or was everything, like, how was it everything his stuff?
Well, no, it's there's a lot of introduction of props and elements. Most of it's mise en scène. And so for example, I found the mask in a garbage can, and Harley used to have a mask very similar to that. But I brought the mask. I brought the little incense that he could not touch because he was drinking, and it was like a sacred thing. But he wanted to have it in the room, and I brought some other props that at the end didn't end up being into the film.
You use the sonic, the field recordings to kind of recall his memories of the place, of his tribe. Did you ever think about using visual images to like in nature reserves or so to recall this? Or
at some point, I thought about including some YouTube videos that Harley used to show me about his reserve, about his people, about his traditions. But nonetheless, when we were shooting this film, there was a huge polemic because of a film called Of the North by Dominique Gagnon that reuses footage on YouTube, from YouTube, of the Eskimo community. That it became like almost a trail against him because he's using a lot of violent images. So at the end, I decided that it was not the place for these images to go to. And also Harley, when he was talking about his reservation, he always had like this distance in between. He didn't want to talk very much about it because he doesn't feel like to be identified with his people anymore.
And this is quite a big question in your film because we feel like he doesn't want to talk about his past and reservation and so on. So, but then he again and again he's remembering his grandma, and so this is all about this very difficult distance, I guess, for him to be inside and outside, and I don't know, when he left, he used to come back like for vacation or something, or
No,
he
he left, and he will mostly because he has a warrant, so a provincial warrant. If he goes back to Saskatchewan, he will be catched by the police.
Okay.
So it's a legal thing, but also it's a will to not come back anymore, to a past that is like very dark and very hard for him to bear.
So the first time that you go and shoot him, he was supposed to die and he didn't die, and then because there's something that happens in the second part of the film, that you start shooting him a little bit broader, like wider, and suddenly it looks like more like life is coming up and coming out again, and that's really beautiful. But I was a little bit confused about what was happening because of your words now.
Yeah, no, he's totally alive,
Yeah.
and now he's becoming some kind of a preacher, because he's assuming that he really has a spiritual mission. He has been trying to kill himself for so long, not just by drinking alcohol, but like jumping out of bridges, and he never succeeds. His discourse is basically that he wants to kill himself first before the spirit comes and kills him.
Par rapport au lien qu'il y a entre ce rôle qu'il a refusé, ce rôle d'homme médecine qu'il a refusé, et puis sa déchéance, c'est parce qu'il a refusé ce rôle qu'il a sombré dans l'alcool.
Seeing from outside, I saw Harley's path very related with a long mystical tradition called the Via Negativa. That it's basically the affirming God through negation, through negating God. When I started knowing Harley and knowing about his refusal, I immediately make this link, and I talked to him about it. And my relation is with like Spanish mysticism of the 17th century, German mysticism of the 12th century, Meister Eckhart. And so he kind of said, okay, it's not that I don't believe in this spirit, it's that I just want to fight against. And for me, that fighting against was also a way of affirming and fighting for this kind of a spiritual call to come at some point in his life. Maybe he thought it was not the time for him to receive this or to enact this. That's my reading. Harley's like very, it's always very much like, I guess, I know, I don't know, maybe. But
I was wondering what led you to film so closely. Some moments it's almost disturbing. I felt it was disturbing how close you came to him.
Well, with two aspects that pushed me to look for that specific device. One, it was the space, that it was like a very limited space. It was like literally 2 meters wide and 4 meters long. So if I was not sitting on the bed, I needed to sit on a little bench that was near the bed. So when I put the camera, I didn't have like the great wide angle lens. So I decided that I needed to go closer. Also because I was very much interested in the body of Harley as a space, as a material organism that was resisting against the obvious death that was coming. I knew somehow that Harley was stronger enough to resist any kind of liver failure or any kind of disease, as he has been resisting since he was like 15. He started drinking when he was 15 years old.
How old is he now?
31, 32. He's going to become 32 this year. So I was very much interested in his body and how this body was at the same time luminous, but also like a very powerful force that was going against this death that was surrounding him. So I that's why I decided to go deep into his skin, deep into his like face, into his body in general. That's why I decided, and my idea was to convey this kind of portrait of not just about him, about his body that keeps resisting against this imminent death that he has been carrying for so long.
But at the time you didn't know whether he was going to survive or not.
I didn't know, but I had a lot of faith, if that will be a good word for using. Because I knew Harley for a long time. I knew how he has been going through the most complicated overdose crisis. So I knew that Harley was not, at the end, was not going to die. Actually, I decided to make the film because I was pretty sure that he was not going to die. I was not going to be shooting the moment of his death.
I would like also hear from you about how you work with sounds. because it's a very important part of the film.
Well, with the sound designers, I have a very close relationship. They are like artists, not just sound designers. They were working with me since the last film as well. So for us, it was very important to realize that we are never in the same space all the time. I mean, we're confined in a room, but nonetheless, Harley is not necessarily confined in a room. So it's like sometimes there, but sometimes somewhere, who knows. Through our conversations, through knowing Harley a little bit, I end up realizing that Harley carries a lot of memories from his reservation, he had a lot of dreams about certain specific moments of his life. So what we wanted to do is like to bring the audience to this kind of liminal space in between this awakeness or the dream world, you know. He's awake sometimes, he's dreaming sometimes, but he's drunk most of the time, so he's like going through one pole to the other constantly. So for us it was very important to make the sound a very important element or a very important tool to bring us from one place to the other seamlessly.
Yeah.
So that's why you end up being disrupted as an audience with this suddenly soundscapes of the reserve, soundscapes of the city that is like no close where he lives. So that's why we end up introducing this like non-diegetic elements.
Yeah. This is why we feel all time between ghost and real and human. And, yeah. Maybe we can continue, you know, at the bar and in a more relaxing mood. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you very much.
No, thank you, Irene, and thank you, Visions du Réel, for all this effort, and it's a pleasure being here.